Welcome to Wrestling is Real.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
Here's the future of wrestling. You can call this the new world order of wrestling, brother.
Day in and day out, I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even in commentary.
And whether you like it or you don't like it, learn, by God, to love it, because it's the best thing going today.
Welcome to episode 528 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. I'm King of Podcasts, and I thank you for joining me for this, a real watershed moment in the history of professional wrestling that happened today, that has been on track for the last few days, and it's so much to unpack, and so much disinformation, and so much analysis that's misinformed, and that is ill-advised. And there's not a lot of real forethought or real thinking behind it. I don't want to speak for everybody out there, but the wrestling Twitter community and the wrestling community in general, you know, the level of upset I can comprehend, and I can validate. I can adjudicate it. All of that. But the thing is, there's so much to be said about what happened today. And we'll just get right into it real quickly. So, approximately 25 different wrestlers and staff have been released from WWE as part of cutbacks that were made to help in a financial relief effort for the company. There are a number of variable factors that are swirling around all of this right here that we have to make the point. We have to make that point very clear. It's so much to be said. So the title of this episode is WWE's Watershed Moment. Wrestlers tormented, fan loyalty tested. Now, when I say watershed moment, I want to explain and define what that is to all of you right now. A watershed moment is defined as a turning point, the exact moment that changes the direction of an activity or situation. A watershed moment is a dividing point from which things will never be the same. It is considered momentous, though a watershed moment is often recognized in hindsight. That's from thegrammarist.com. But I want to have the hindsight right here. It's happened. But wrestling journalists, podcasters, and fans alike, in true wrestling sense, this is where the whole real picture does not come into their purview clearly. And there's a number of reasons why. Number one, business. They probably don't have a very good wrapped around thought of the business process and how corporations and businesses run at this scale. WWE for almost 20 years, or close to 20, over 20 years, right? They've been publicly traded. So Vince McMahon, for everything that we always say about how he has control over things, listen, I'm not going to not point the blame at Vince McMahon for what's being done, because his creativity, his direction of the company led to where they are today, led to what happened tonight, this watershed moment. The measures they had to make in a corporate sense, there were a lot of mistakes made down the road. So Vince McMahon is not without proverbial blood on his hands. I'm just saying he is ultimately the bearer of much of the carnage that happened today. It's on him. It's on his leadership. It's under his helm, under his watch, under his leadership. So with that said, that doesn't mean that in a corporate sense, what had to be done couldn't be avoided. we had a number of wrestlers that have put a lot of years into this company, some of them 15 years plus, that are no longer with the company right now. They're released. Now, you could basically call those independent contractors, as we know they are. You could basically say they're furloughed. The staff is furloughed. So there's no thought that people can honestly, you should take the whole idea, and some podcasters and journalists did try to make this point, that they could be brought back. They could be re-signed, or they'll just be brought back under the original deal. But at the moment, furloughed does not mean you have ultimately lost your job. In some cases, there is. But they've been released. And with that said, in their independent contract and the independent contractor contracts, they probably have it where this situation could cause a release of their contract, which they know that can happen at any time. So it's upon the wrestlers to be prepared for this. We don't like anybody losing a job when they haven't done anything to lose that job, to get fired, to be, dropped out. If people are doing their job, no. If they can keep their job, they should keep their job. Absolutely. But what happened here was a business decision, a corporate decision. Vince McMahon is not the only person that makes a decision here. And believe it or not, I will say that some of the decisions that WWE made today were for the good of their company because of what they were in. This was a decision they had to make based on what their situation was. These were measures that had to be taken anyway for them to not be thrown down a worse end financially for their company, because right now this company is taking some major hits. They were already taking major hits before this. Before the investors call that comes up next week, they were already taking major hits now. And in the same time, they've done a lot of mistakes creatively that have hurt them in the long run. But it still comes down to the fact that this had to happen today. This was inevitable. This pandemic, there is no such thing as, that you could plan for something like this. This was something that no one can plan for. There is no company that could have planned for what happened. I mean, let alone WWE. To their credit, which I have continued to give them credit since the start of this, 4 weeks ago, I gave them credit and I said, man, I have to give them credit. Benefit of the doubt. I'm grading them on a curve. They are still providing content to us when other sports outlets can't. So there are a number of variables that people are upset about that I need to go through and talk about. Because there's a timeline of all that happened over the weekend to today, to tonight, which we have to go through, and we have to put everything into context, because if we don't, then people will not understand what's going on. When it comes to entertainment, when it comes to sports, do remember, okay, all your major sports leagues, they're no longer operating right now. They're all taking hits individually as franchises, individually as talent and performers. Only difference is their contracts are different. But they were only paid to a certain point, and now their contracts are currently suspended. They're not making any extra money than they already are. Not like they're not hurting for cash, most of those stars. But they're not getting paid anymore either. A different story for professional wrestling, absolutely. The other fact of the matter is, how about the other organizations that are professional wrestling as well? Those are all been shut down for over a month. They're not running any shows. They're running anything. Now, they're in a probably different situation because some of those wrestlers are probably getting paid per diem, per event. But then they're also not able to go to any other events right now. I mean, there's nothing to go do. There's no place to work. So they have to wait this out like everybody else. Now, for the overlying effect of people saying, so, we're all about, when everybody's looking at the pandemic right now, since the start of this week, the discussion has started to go towards the direction of, listen, We're looking to get ourselves on the other side of this pandemic, which I believe we are now. When you look at the models, when you look at the models that have been put out there by University of Washington, other places, and I don't want to get into politics here. I'm just making my point. You see the models that have been put up, the scientific models, and you look at the situation when it comes to hospitalizations, intubations, death toll, all of that. We have peaked. And at the moment, it looks like things are happening where we can get ourselves looking at trying to get back to normalcy. That is going to take a long time. Now, the plans by the federal government, which I'm not going to say anything other than that, the federal government, the economy, Wall Street, Main Street, big businesses, small businesses, workers, employees, employers, myself. I want everybody to be able to get back to work. I want everything to get back to normal. I want to be able to go and have, I'm not going to expect all the comforts that I have. Like I already know movie theaters not coming back till late July at the earliest. They've already planned for that. Sporting events, we might not see until the fall at the earliest. So some of the comforts and luxuries and the recreation and the things that we enjoy, they might be out there in several months. But there are certain things that could come back. Schools could reopen. Hospitals could be at full capacity again. And the whole medical profession that is not able to do anything right now and help COVID patients or help other patients. People that want to get MRIs or radiology or have surgeries done, or whether elective or they're timed and scheduled. Let those come back. Let the hospitals operate at full capacity again. And not under an emergency crisis right now. Let's get them to operate at full speed again. Continue to go ahead and work on the patients that are being affected as they're being infected, and move forward. And as for all of us going out and about society, you know what? Social distancing, masks. We do that. And if we can kind of limit the amount of time we need to go out and do things, let's do that. If restaurants need to go ahead and do some things to help make variations for stores, they need to, they need to manage the herd of people going into stores in and out to practice social distancing and to make sure everybody is going into a hygienic, safe environment, enclosed, anywhere they go, better off. We need society to get back to normal. So people can go ahead and criticize WWE for being one of the few companies that found a workaround to keep themselves going throughout this. And they're not the only ones. As we can see, we see that AEW has continued their programming as well. They've taped. They've gone to plan the tape, and they've been giving us programming since. With WWE, they want to go ahead and do things where they continue on with live programming for whatever reason. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I can't knock them for that. I get why they try to do that for. But for myself, overall, when we look at this entire pandemic picture, we have to realize we need this. We just need to go ahead and find ourselves looking at ways to get ourselves ready to get out of quarantine. Maybe not a complete return back. We might still need to practice some isolation anyway, but slowly start breaking open and letting ourselves out. It's like spring's coming out. You've been cabin fevered, all right? You've been in a long winter with snow and you don't want to get out that much. Well, spring has come out. So it's starting to get a little more safe to go ahead and go outside, but you still have to be careful. But you can't be afraid of the risks either. You can't be afraid of being stuck inside forever because, we as a people, as a society, as the way this country is in the United States of America, can't be that way. We have to be able to move on. And this is where you have faith, and this is where you have, luck on your side, and you have hope. And we move along. We move forward. I'm going to get off my soapbox about that. We're going to get back to wrestling now. Because I need to make that point across first before we move into anything else. Because that's where I'm coming from with this. For everyone to start feeling like, well, why are they doing all this? Why can't they just, we're in such a panic and hysteria. No. If you're feeling that, there are reasons why you're feeling that, and it's ill-informed and ill-advised. If you want to know about that, you go listen to my Broadcasters podcast. For the last 4 weeks, I have hammered the mainstream media and the media in general for the way that they have fear-mongered everybody into how the media is covered. And this is not anything to do about one particular news outlet or the other ones. It's all of them. Hard enough to find news and information that you need. Your local news can do it. But man, if you try to find the mainstream media to help you out with that, good luck. Because you're not. Everything is fear, 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 scared. It's like a horror movie over and over again. And Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, the character from Saw, they're not going away. They're still coming back. It's like a purge that never ends. We can't think like that. Listen, that's make-believe. We don't have to believe that. We don't have to go ahead and play into our fears. We need to overcome our fears. And we also need to overcome the fact that we are going to get ourselves back out of all this. We're going to find ourselves back to some kind of normalcy again. Something that will feel like what it was not 2 months ago. We're going to get back there. There will be changes that will be everlasting altogether. Who knows what those will be? But we're always going to be remembering COVID-19. That will never go away. This pandemic, it will affect all of us for the rest of our lives. It will be a time that will be vivid in our imagination for decades to come, for the rest of our lives. That's absolutely true. So, WWE's Watershed moment. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but I want to ask you for your help because as right now, I am doing some changes right now to the websites. So if they're not up right now, I want to give you the heads up what's going on. I've made some changes to 3 of my websites. I'm getting a webmaster right now to fix all that. So if it's not up by the time you watch this, I understand. We're trying to fix it. The plan is kingofpodcasts.com will now become my profile page. It'll be like my bio. You'll have links to all the different things that I do. So the Wrestling is Real podcast page, which will now be at wrestlingisreal.com exclusively. My Broadcasters podcast, which will now be off the WordPress.com onto its own .com. And all the other projects I work on, they're all going to be at kingofpodcasts.com. At the moment, that page is there. The link that is not working right now is the Wrestling is Real page, which is being moved as we speak. So that'll take some time, but we'll get that all back up for everybody to go and look at very soon. It's just a matter of time. So we'll take care of that very soon and take care of all that for you. Now, the other thing you can do also to help out with greatly right now is to use my special link for Amazon, because I really greatly could use some help to kind of make ends meet right now, to make sure everything is good, going forward. So if you can, and all I'm asking you to do is, I want to be able to keep my income, try to keep income coming in. The changes I got to do to the website, pay the webmaster, do all the extra changes I need to make to take care of the content I'm doing. I'm asking for your help. And all I'm asking you to do is, listen, I could put the PayPal up there, the Cash App, all that. I'm not going to worry about that. What I will ask for is this. If you would be a great help, you use Amazon to buy. If you need to buy stuff right now for toilet paper, hand sanitizer, bulk items, because you don't want to leave the house, that's a great place to go. They got a great pantry. You can get items shipped to you, whole food stuff, all of it. You can get it all done through Amazon through my special link, kingofamazon.com. Again, kingofamazon.com. That is where you go as a special link to get to Amazon, where you can buy what you need from Amazon. And that way, proceeds will actually go back to me. I'll get a percentage of what you buy. I'll get a commission as a sale for whatever you buy from there. I'll be able to get a benefit from it. And that will be really helpful in these times. So please use kingofamazon.com for your Amazon shopping. Kingofamazon.com. Now, Let's take ourselves all the way back to 2 weeks ago. TheStreet.com. They made a mention of is WWE changing its monetization strategy. So now, year to year, and this was April 10th, we're going to go back to a couple days ago. Shares were down year to year 62%. WrestleMania was made available for Fox Sports for the first time. And people were wondering about how Fox Corporation gained the rights to sell pay-per-views as part of a larger deal for the broadcast rights to the SmackDown franchise. But there was a pending change in corporate strategy that was already going on prior to that, after WrestleMania, right? Which basically the company just had to get past that event, which people didn't really crap on. Remember, a lot of people actually really did enjoy a lot of what WrestleMania offered. They enjoyed the Boneyard match. They enjoyed the match with the Firefly Funhouse. They enjoyed Drew McIntyre winning the WWE Championship over Brock Lesnar, right? We enjoyed a lot of that. A lot of good matches that we had. Couldn't complain too much about WrestleMania. Some people still did, but that's just in the nature of the fans and the podcasters and the journalists. They all do it. So now, originally we were talking about that WWE is assuming all the financial risk when it comes to their pay-per-view business with a monthly subscription service. The subscriber can cancel in a matter of seconds. Losses immediately trickle down to the bottom line. So the company would eliminate much of the volatility in earnings and could generate much more, securing by revenue by returning to a wholesale model. Now, experts envision a future where WWE would sell its content library to a third-party over-the-top provider, and the promotions, monthly live pay-per-view events placed on a secondary paywall, which is what ESPN did with the UFC shows. They talked about that aligning with a streaming service would give WWE both the large-scale audience it seeks and the customer access it needs to pay-per-view revenues. So that's one of the thoughts that was being brought up right then and there. So they were finding ways to change their monetization strategy. And the reason why they had to do that is because subscriptions were down. Live shows were struggling. Stock price was down, again, 62% year to year. And I don't know what it is right now, but after what they did today, I can only imagine. And by the way, all those changes happened throughout the day. So their stock price, I wouldn't be surprised if it took a major, well, it actually ended up today, which is surprising. $38.90, even with what they're doing. But here's the deal, reason why. Okay. Today alone, they gained 1% of their value once again. So you go back a couple days before, or a month before, right? At one point, remember, March 16th, they were at $30. And this is a company that was up to $100 a share at one point. So you don't forget that there was just so much that actually happened with everything that was going on with this company and the losses they were taking. The public shareholders were going manic, panicking about what was going on with this company. Even with the influx of 2 broadcast partner deals, the Saudi Arabia deal in his second year, all that going on, that was only counteracting to all their losses when it came down to it. So that right there, like, they did have a jump after the broadcast deals came in, but seriously, they were going through a lot more things because their financials were not doing well across the board. Because how much money are they going to be able to make off of WWE, or how much would that price go up after getting to $100, right? That was the whole point of what's going on right now. That's what happened more than anything else. They were struggling right there. So again, eventually, with how things were going after WrestleMania, we know in a normal sense, in a normal year, conventionally for the last 10 years or so, right? what do we always get normally during this time? We always got the future endeavors after WrestleMania, right? This time we happen to get, 25? But this is staff and talent. So we don't know, and nobody's talking about that. We don't know what would have happened beforehand if there was going to be any releases anyway in a conventional normal year. We don't know what that was going to be. But we did get a lot of names that went down. Let's go through the names one by one. And let's talk about this. Of main roster wrestlers and honored talent, Drake Maverick. It looks like this is an order of when they were let go, when the announcements were made. Through Twitter, people were just making the announcements. Oh, here's who's the next person who's got released. Drake Maverick was first. Earliest to put up a video. A guy that's worked really hard. For some of you that might not remember, Rockstar Spud, as we all remember him before, from Impact Wrestling. He started off in British Boot Camp, and the guy was just like trying to work his way up. He got to Impact Wrestling, made his bones there, and then he got let go. And WWE decided to go ahead and pick him up. So Drake Maverick has gone through his issues of getting cut and being brought back and things like that. But the guy's talented. He will get back somewhere. The guy's got a lot of talent. Whether he is on the mic or it does wrestle, I hope he gets himself back because he really needs to. But I honestly think that WWE is going to bring that guy back. I don't see why they wouldn't bring him back. Kurt Hawkins. He's had a lot of time in this business, a lot of time in that company. Now, one thing that was really, you could tell the diehard WWE establishment fans were really like heartbroken over all this. The ones that are like ride or die WWE, no matter how pissed off they are at them, they were really pissed off at certain people where they were. But the reason it's part of it is because some of these guys, some of these wrestlers, they hadn't wrestled in many other places in a long time. Kurt Hawkins had been in the same place for what? Decade plus? And he survived. He's been a lifer for that company. I'd imagine he would be brought back. Loyalty to him, to that brand. If anyone was also going to be brought back, I think he would too. Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. Now listen, those guys have had time where they've worked in other organizations. They were in Japan not that long ago. And they just signed a new deal with WWE, right? Didn't they sign, $500,000 deals for 5 years, something like that, or more? I don't know how much it was. But they did sign new deals. And there was obviously a plan to keep these guys around. So I think I would imagine they're furloughed too. Heath Slater, another guy that's been around since the Florida Championship Wrestling days. And I don't see why Heath Slater does not stay around either. I think there's just certain people that will absolutely come back. Eric Young, that's a toss-up. But then again, Eric Young can go to a lot of different places and work. I think that guy first of all, was an Impact Wrestling, a TNA guy for a long time. If Eric Young, unfortunately, takes his shot, I would imagine that guy would do very well as an indie wrestler. I really do. I think he would do great in the indie circuit with all the work he's done. But he hasn't done anything wrong in WWE either. It's just they had a plan for him and it just never worked out. And they just, it was also a veteran guy. It's like a Bobby Roode. It's like just another guy that's been around. He's a TNA guy. He's a good hand. Probably would be a very good trainer. So there's a lot to be said about him. Now, there are certain people that I feel like on this list that if they decided to go somewhere else, it would be beneficial. EC3, I want that guy to go somewhere else. I would hope EC3 takes the opportunity, and if he can find himself to another wrestling brand, he's being underutilized. Why they decided not to use him anymore? Right now, I think that's probably a break for him. I think some of these people are going to get a break from this. Just keep that in mind. Leo Rush. I think Leo Rush, he could also find himself out working the circuit as well. I mean, I don't think Ring of Honor would have the money to bring him back. But I'm just saying, Leo Rush, very talented. But I think after all that WWE's done for him and his hardships, I think he'll be brought back too. Eric Rowan, Sarah Logan. Yeah, I feel like they're going to be brought back. Mike Chioda is an interesting story. 30 plus years in the company, referee. It's a mainstay. A mainstay. I mean, I don't know how long Kevin Dunn's been around, but I imagine Mike Chioda's been there longer. If you're talking about 30 years ago, that means Chioda was there when Hogan was still in his prime. Like, imagine what that guy's gone through and the career he's had. Mike Chioda must be coming back at some point. I mean, he's been in that system for so long. That's another life here. There's no reason why he doesn't come back either. A couple more. Primo and Epico, the Colognes. I think they're going to be... I don't think they're going to be coming back. I don't expect them to come back. I mean, they're talented. They've just been poorly used forever at this company. Badly. And so for Primo and Epico, they would be self-served to go work. Listen, go to Puerto Rico, go to World Wrestling Council, go work outside of WWE. I mean, you guys are talented as shit, man. Get yourselves out there. Once both of these guys are both healthy, take advantage of it and get yourselves out there and go work the circuit, man. Because I think those guys would do well anywhere else. Anywhere else. Mike and Maria Kanellis. This is an unfortunate thing. Well, look, I mean, I feel for Mike Kanellis and what he has gone through, and for Maria, it wasn't that long. They were actually going to try to do something with him, and it kind of just got dropped because Maria was pregnant. And I don't ever understand why that all went away. But the thing is, these two also still very talented. I enjoyed what they did in Impact Wrestling. I enjoyed what they were doing in Ring of Honor. But, of course, the burned bridge. But I still think Mike and Maria will find their way around. And I think Mike Kanellis I was very happy to see he was still very positive and still being constructive and being hopeful. And I can appreciate that he was going through that. But again, they also signed a contract with WWE. So with that, they might be able to go and keep themselves as well. Now, I think that we might see some restructuring. I'm not sure what it'll be, but I think we are going to get some restructuring soon enough. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think there's a good chance of it. Which I think got Anderson and Gallows. I think some of the others are going to have to come back in. They're going to probably be asked to restructure their contracts, take a pay cut. And they could do that because based on the market there is, nobody else in pro wrestling can pay the money before or even after that WWE is paying. This is where the effect of them putting all the contract money out there in order to keep from a mass exodus. We talked about back in October, November of 2018. We talked all about that. When AEW was making their way through, we talked about there could be people that could go their way out and go somewhere else. Other names on the list: Zack Ryder. Yeah, man, it sucks. It's another guy who's been there but again, a lifer. I don't see where he goes somewhere else either. He's got Chelsea Green there. They're engaged, or are they married? I forget. Like, there's so much for Zack Ryder to have staying in the company, and Chelsea Green has not been let go. So I think Zack Ryder taking the hit, but Chelsea Green's still there. I still think Zack Ryder returns. I believe he does too. No Way Jose. Toss up. Saddle with a horrible gimmick. As best he can, he tries to make it work. But we can just tell, No Way Jose could work himself somewhere else. If he has to work indie circuit, I think he would do really well. Just another guy I think that once things get back around, we'll be able to get ourselves back up. Regardless of the pandemic, if this was just a normal situation, this is what I would think. Pandemic or no pandemic, I think this is the way it is. Now, Rusev, also on this list. I think Rusev, I don't know if he had signed a contract or not, or they were working on that, but I think Rusev is let go. I think Rusev probably wouldn't have stayed around from a release here. I don't even know. Him and Lana, are they still married? I don't even know the whole story. I can't even tell you. Maybe Rusev stays because of Lana. Because obviously Lana has a very important role right now. She's still being pretty useful. And, she's very entertaining in the TikTok videos, I must admit. She picked up on that really quickly. Talented girl. From the Performance Center, Deonna Purrazzo, the virtuoso, who already got a little appearance on the main roster. She's worked everywhere. She found her way here. It will be unfortunate if she did not stay within the company and still stay in NXT or make herself up to the main roster at some point. But these are all, except for a couple of names that I saw at the very top, in a normal release, mass release of future endeavors, or Kurt Angle is also part of that list of talents as a legend, I would imagine, probably under the Legends contract. Drake Maverick, Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Anderson Gallows. I didn't ask Sarah Logan. I make mention. I think Sarah Logan, she'll probably stay well because of her relationship with whichever of the War Raiders she's with. I forget. She's with Rowe. That's right. So, if I had to look at it, Anderson Gallows, Slater, Ryder, Maverick, Rusev, Micah Maria, Eric Rowan, those are the ones I figured would probably stay. They probably wouldn't have been put on this list normally, but I think everybody else probably would have. In a normal way, they would have been making cuts anyway. I could have imagined that happening. That's just the way I look at it. Alexander Jacek, MJ Jenkins, and Ace Steel have also been released or furloughed from the Performance Center or NXT. Some that were furloughed, some that were let go altogether. Kurt Angle, Aiden English, who was working most recently as the 205 Live announcer, hasn't been wrestling at all, I don't think, in a while. Lance Storm was working as a trainer backstage or as an agent. Shane Helms, Sarah Stock, Scott Armstrong, Billy Kidman. These are all agents or managers or producers, excuse me. Billy Kidman, Dave Fit Finley, Sean Davari, Mike Rotunda, one of the creative writers, Andrea Listenberger, who we learned was responsible for the Otis, Mandy Rose, Dolph Ziggler, Sonya Deville storyline, which I've enjoyed a lot. I think it's been very good. Yeah, unfortunately, she's gone. She's now furloughed, most likely. I don't think she's being dropped, hopefully. And Spanish language announcer Jerry Soto has also been furloughed. So that's where we are. A couple of the names we are working on right now that we're learning about is Kendo Kashin, a former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, moved to Japan not too long ago to be part. And Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb, you might remember, part of the Straight Edge Society with CM Punk back in 2009. She was a coach in the company, and she'd been working independence all over the place for many years. Also let go. So that's a lot of people there. That's unfortunate. They are confirmed. A little bit bittersweet watching NXT, seeing a lot of new people being brought into the mix. You see Killer Cross, who will now have a new name coming into the company. He was brought in a few weeks ago. El Hijo del Fantasma will be debuting soon. Timothy Thatcher came out as a surprise tag team partner for Pete Dunne. And Killer Cross will not get to be called Killer. Of course, they can't use the name Killer. He's going to be called Karrion Kross. Karrion. Karrion Kross. Still with KROSS, excuse me. So anyways, those are the names. And this is what really triggered everything. But that's all the way to now. Now we have to roll back. Let's go ahead and take ourselves back to where we were before. We talked about the monetization strategy. Now we're going to move on to the XFL. Another major blow to Vince McMahon and WWE in general. Vince McMahon is taking it from all sides. He put $300 million aside to solely pay for the XFL, paying for the TV rights, for the TV time, paying for the players, the franchises, the organizations, all of it. He paid for it all. Was off to a good start. I was really enjoying what he was doing with that league. Only got 5 games in. Season suspended. And at this point, XFL had to file for bankruptcy. Let me go ahead and get into a story from Pro Football Talk, NBCSports.com. Mike Florio reports, who, if you watch at all, any of the sports that's out there, here's something that people didn't know. WWE owns 23.5% of the Class B stock in the XFL. According to SEC filings, the company received equity in the XFL at no payment or other financial obligation as apparent consideration for granting McMahon the authority to launch the XFL as a separate entity under the name Alpha Entertainment LLC. The equity interest contradicts McMahon's claim that there would be no crossover with WWE. But what happened was it didn't cost the company anything. So he did leverage his status with WWE to be able to go ahead and be able to keep things as they wanted to go and get the XFL up and running. So he did some things to kind of help him get the equity that he needed to get the organization up and going. But unfortunately, the latest going on with the XFL is that they are going into bankruptcy. At last check, ESPN reporting 2 days ago, that the parent company filed for bankruptcy, Chapter 11. The first business day after the league suspended operations and laid off almost all of its employees. So assets and liabilities were each in the range of $10 million to $50 million. Vince McMahon has not spoken publicly at all about the XFL being folded. The Chief Operating Officer, Jeffrey Pollack, held a conference call this past Friday with employees to announce the layoffs and suspension of operations. Pollack stopped short of saying that the league is going out of business. Staffers left the call convinced the XFL will not return. A source close to the bankruptcy filing said the league could be sold during the process. It took a lot of time to get here. The XFL did pay its employees through April 12th, plus accrued vacation time, and the league plans to refund all advance ticket sales. So, was it going to be a major revenue pipeline eventually for the XFL? And that's not going to happen. Vince McMahon put money into it and put effort and put time into it. He put 2 years into getting this project off the ground and did a very good job with it. And it's unfortunate. But here we are. That's what happened to him, and now we're in a tough spot with that. So that's what happened there. So there was one hit right there, along with the other ongoing issues, which I'm trying to make a point across with. All the issues that happened with this company and its financial calamity, the issues they were dealing with before all this was going on, what led to today. I'm trying to explain that to all of you right now. And there are certain things that need to be explained and clarified for proper context. I'm going to give you that too. Stay with me here. Now, before I was going to go on today, we were going to talk about how the state of Florida made WWE an essential business. Now, this is where we're going to go into the crux of certain things that got blown out of proportion today. Before you say anything about Linda McMahon, whoa, wait a second. Don't hit that right there. Don't go jump into that right away. Don't start jumping to that conclusion. No. Hold on a second. I'm going to explain. I'm going to take a story from the Hollywood Reporter. Take ourselves outside of wrestling so we can get the full context. Not from the wrestling sites, okay? Because they're not going to give you all the context. I'm going industry papers, industry rags to go to the right story. Hollywood Reporter. They mentioned that live shows will return as Florida updates list of essential services. So here's what was said. While Florida is under a safe-at-home order until April 30th, restricting movement outside of homes to essential activities, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis updated his definition of essential services. So far had included hospitals and grocery shops and drugstores. On Thursday, in an order that became widely available this week, the new definition adds this, quote, employees at a professional sports and media production with a national audience, including any athletes, entertainers, production team, executive team, media team, and any others necessary to facilitate, including services supporting such productions, only if the location is closed to the general public. So if you wanted to have events that did not, if you wanted to have events that did not have a live audience in the state of Florida, you can do that. We're going to talk about that in a minute because everyone wants to go ahead and pile up on WWE, and that's fine, but you don't know the whole story. So one source said the decision to deem these productions essential was due to them being a key contributor to the state's economy. There are other organizations that are interested in being a part. They're just not doing it yet. But this change of essential services, they're not the only company that's going to be involved and looking to be a part of this. Endeavor, who owns the mixed martial arts promotion UFC, they're looking at Florida now. Ring of Honor is also looking at Florida right now. And so is MLW. Just to make a point. But we'll get back to that in a little bit. And AEW is still taping shows. And they're still planning to go ahead and run Double or Nothing on May 23rd as planned, but without an audience. So there are other wrestling companies, including Impact Wrestling, still looking to go ahead and continue taping shows in this pandemic. Continue to put out content for their provider, for their broadcast entities that they're serving with content. They're all doing the same thing. So why everybody's deciding to go after WWE alone is misguided. Okay, now back to my point. The other part that everybody complained about was how Linda McMahon, who, yes, she was running the Small Business Administration under the Trump administration. I got that. Okay. There were other things I could talk about as well when it comes to financial security, but I'm not going to deal with that. So, actually, let me get back to one thing. I want to bring up one more thing before I get to Linda McMahon, which got trending on Twitter before all this happened, before all the releases. So let's bring this up. $2020 so far for WWE. You had a few things. Remember, they fired co-presidents George Barrios and Michelle Wilson. What a great time to be out as well, correct? The share price dropped. Now, Vince McMahon took measures to secure the company, increasing the company's liquidity. He filed a Form 8K with the SEC, entering into a variable prepaid forward contract covering approximately 3.5 million shares of Class B stock. Okay. So he's already taking stock up into the company. Prepaid forward contract. So he is buying ahead shares of stock, which don't have much value like they did before. But he's taking in more stock again for the good of the company, to provide liquid to the company, to keep the company going and thriving. Because he might have contracts out there, but he has to rely that he still has money to be able to go out to, right? Vince McMahon also sold approximately 2.26 million of shares in his company through Morgan Stanley, priced between $37.75 and $38.25. Again, taking a loss for it. So there was that they're going to go through. But again, the issues he had to go through, also stock issues. Trying to shore up money. Because no matter what, he can't keep the company with all the talent that he has and all that staff. He was going to have to do something. Now this, compared to other companies out there, Disney, by the way, you want to get an example? How about Disney, which is a way bigger company than anybody else? Okay, how about this for everybody out there? As of 3 days ago, Disney World furloughed 43,000 workers. 43,000 workers. And Disney already started going after cast members, already taking out other people performing. And that's not counting everything else that's going on within that company and all the things they had to do. AMC, all the theater chains, they're all taking a hit right now. All those people got furloughed. They're not working either. Don't forget, UFC's not getting to do anything right now. All these other athletes, they're not working either. So wrestling is not, it's not immune. They're all going to get it. It was going to happen anyway. Inevitable. Again, I remind everybody out there, it was inevitable. Okay, back to my point here. Lynn McMahon. Let's get back to that story. This is some of the stories that were being brought up, and I'm going to bring some of these out right now. Let's start with 54 Online, F4W Online, a Wrestling Observer newsletter. So the story was brought up yesterday, April 14th. And I'm going to just scroll down to what was being said. So there are two local cable news reporters that were reporting on the story with WWE. All right. Stephanie Congenou and John Alba. They represent Central Florida's Spectrum Cable News 13, which has been a long-time outlet for many years. So they had an investigation of the situation. The Orange County Sheriff's Department, prior to this new essential order, was dispatched at the Performance Center in both March and April, advising that they were not in compliance with the previously existing order and would have to close down. But then there was a timeline that they provided, the change of heart coming as the same day that a pro-President Donald Trump campaign super PAC, or Political Action Committee, announced they were going to spend $18.5 million in both the Tampa and Orlando markets. Hold on a second. Okay. Now they say here, okay, so the super PAC is led up by Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife, former head of Trump's Small Business Administration. When they're saying $18.5 million in both the Tampa and Orlando markets, those are TV ads. Okay? We're not talking about money being injected into the economy of the state of Florida, if I'm correct, which I don't see why I'm not. We're talking about advertising. $18.5 million in advertising for the 2020 presidential campaign. Okay, that money is not going towards the state. It's not going to federal services. Am I correct? There might be some events that are being held there, but the money is not an injection into the economy or into the state government of Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis is not getting a dime of that money, which I don't understand what people were trying to think about that. A spokesperson for the Super PAC told ABC News, national ABC News, the connection was an example of, quote, looking to connect some sort of dots that simply don't exist, end quote. And that the $18.5 million ad buy was planned more than a week before the updated executive order was issued. In a statement to Spectrum 13, DeSantis' office said WWE was critical to Florida's economy and the employees at those locations benefit. Okay. Now, the other thing that was being mentioned, too, which also was the coincidence everybody's talking about, is the fact that Vince McMahon, along with UFC President Dana White and all the major commissioners, managers, or, all the major commissioners of all the major sports leagues, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer, they all showed up. So people want to just put their politics into this. Look, you want to do that, I don't give a shit. But you're not telling the whole story. Because here's the funny part. Then there are some stories where these two Central Florida Spectrum News 13 reporters, the whole story doesn't get brought in here, okay? Ringside News, which always takes stories from other places, they went down and put in a couple of tweets that were done by Stephanie Cogenu and John Alba. So what they did was they took a number of tweets that were put out mentioning, and this is the kind of reporting I'm talking about. This is a speculation. I mean, sure, you want to question it, go right ahead. But could politics be in play for WWE to be deemed essential personnel? And then Stephanie Cogenu puts down the timeline going from April 1st to April 10th. John Alba relays some of the same information. But I noticed that some of these outlets choose not to put all the tweets out there. Okay. So again, I'm looking at Wrestling Observer, at Fightful. They're all taking a portion of the tweets that were put out there, but not all of them, which is quite interesting. But that's the wrestling side. Those are the wrestling websites. Let me show you what actually happened here. Again, you take the Florida governor's memo as to what was deemed essential. Okay. People only looked at the third directive of what was being made essential. There were three things. Additions to the list of essential services. Let me explain what those are. Okay. So employees and services and programs addressing mental health. This is from the governor's office. Substance abuse, domestic violence, and other urgent counseling. Okay. The other one is employees at theme park and entertainment complexes, zoological parks and facilities and aquarium facilities, all of which are closed to the general public, who are necessary for A, ensuring the health, safety, and security of persons, animal, and property. B, maintaining the value of inventory. C, preserving plant, property, and equipment condition. D, maintaining regulatory compliance, processing payroll and benefits, facilitating availability of employees working remotely, other activities otherwise necessary to preserve and maintain the facilities. Okay? So you're telling me that, in the same end right here, if you're allowing theme parks and all these other places to be maintained, if you have all these other employees that are going to be working in all these other places, why not? I don't see what the real stretch is at all. Now let's go into the actual stories, the take that was being made from all the others out there. Now what is interesting is one last tweet that John Alba put out in his reporting. So yesterday, April 14, 2020, after the announcement from the America First Actions Super PAC, quote, it's entirely possible that it's coincidental. This is from John Alba reporting. But as many have pointed out, there are substantial connections between the McMahon family and the GOP. Okay, that's fine. You're absolutely correct there. That I will give you. So, do you want to question it? Go right ahead and question it. But here's the other part he puts in here that nobody on the wrestling sites decided to add. This is from Cage Side Seats, if you want to go look for it. And by the way, I'm putting all these links up on the description. Once the website gets back up, when you see it on the website, wrestlingisreal.com, you'll see this episode. You'll see all the descriptions. All the links are there. I'm putting it there for all of you to look at. John Alba says, he tweets, quote, it's also worth noting that the executive order does not apply to just WWE. He goes along and says, it applies to AEW. It applies to any pro sport or entertainment entity with a national audience. The Orlando Magic could have a scrimmage tomorrow. The NBA team, the Orlando Magic, could have a scrimmage tomorrow if they wanted to. But most are choosing not to. So tell me again how this is only the benefit of WWE. Because what are you going to say then once all these other organizations, if Ring of Honor, MLW, do go ahead and decide to tape in Florida, or if UFC decides to tape in Florida, or if the Orlando Magic do want to have a scrimmage in the state of Florida, or if Major League Baseball wants the realignment plan to create spring training style, having games being played in Florida and Arizona for the baseball season coming up. What are you going to say then? Wrestling fans, wrestling Twitter, journalists, podcasters, what do you say then? And Cage Side sees Sean Reuter puts a story out there. And he makes a point on here to make a point of the whole story. He says this, and this is very important. There's no evidence of quid pro quo of this for that being reported. As Alba states, there are plenty of ties between the McMahons, the Trumps, and the Republican Party, which DeSantis also represents, the governor. And the addendum to the stay-at-home order theoretically opens Florida to a lot of companies and leagues beyond WWE. So legally speaking, this is all circumstantial. The court of public opinion is another matter, and that's what we're talking about. So wrestling Twitter, the wrestling world, the wrestling community, yeah, you want to take shots at the company, but get your facts straight. I would hope that the wrestling community will not do the same thing like the mainstream media or other people out there. It's already bad enough we don't get news reported correctly. I mean, it's not like we have a lot of people. I mean, all due respect, we don't have a lot of people like Mike Johnson or Sean Ross Sapp or, or Dave Meltzer or Brian Alvarez or, the guys that wrestle votes or whoever else, or Brad Shepard, I guess. I don't know. You've got other people that are doing reporting out there, actually finding out the stories. Everybody else, for the most part, and you tell me if I'm wrong, they're all getting at secondhand knowledge. So to take this coincidence right here, these Spectrum 13 reporters, these Central Florida News 13 on Spectrum Cable reporters, decided to go ahead and put the story across, which they did. But then wrestling websites chose not to take that story. They decided to leave that out. How convenient. So yeah, you might have been reporting the story accurately, but you weren't reporting the whole story. Context matters. Context matters. That's all there is to it. So as we know, the budget cuts were being made across everywhere in the company. So it's not just the wrestlers. Okay? There were measures to be financially making the company secure during the pandemic. And don't forget, the other thing that also is getting hurt tremendously right now, which was several weeks ago we talked about this. Benzinga reported this about the company's live event business, which is hurting greatly right now. Even beforehand, because they were losing house shows, they were having to drop house shows because they weren't getting enough people to show. They were losing money off of it. So the company withdrew its first quarter and full year guidance, citing the negative impacts of the coronavirus, which not only hurts their stock price. Now, looking back, Yahoo Finance reports there's no easy way to easily quantify the type of negative impact that live events cancellations might have had on the network subscriptions. However, WWE breaks down its live event revenue in its quarterly reports. Looking back at the second quarter of 2019, this time last year, net revenue, which included WrestleMania, was $268 million. 18% of that, or $48.8 million, came from live events. And live events had a much larger impact on operating income. WWE reported $17.1 million in operating income in the second quarter of 2019. 12.4% came from live events. So those numbers are very important. They were making revenue more off of anything else because 18% of the revenue came from live events. But the money they had to spend, 72% came from live events. So the one thing is the cutting on live events, they're actually saving money on that. They were able to keep WrestleMania, which was very important to them. They have their broadcast deals, which is very important to them. The one thing that WWE is trying to do is trying to keep themselves alive. Again, stock is down a lot. They've lost a lot of money. Like, don't think that this company has not taken some hits. This company's taken some major hits. And that's what's going to be considered of all of this. But now, more importantly than anything else, is some thoughts about what happens here after all said and done. Now, in the excerpt, what I put as after the title, I talked about one of the things that's most important about this is when we talk about the full spectrum, the full environment of pro wrestling in general. WWE is going to come out of this the worst of every promotion in the world. They had the most to lose. They're going to take the biggest burden out of everybody. And it's unfortunate for MLW and Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling and all the other organizations, New Japan. I mean, just imagine PWG, Chikara, Shimmer, Dragon's Gate, think about it. It's all these different organizations that are going to be stuck here, right? So that's a tough thing they're going to be stuck at. At this point, man, they're in a spot where AEW, if they're able to continue things going on, listen, and also the ratings have not helped at all. At the moment, WWE right now, they're not even getting 2 million people viewing their programming. Let me look at the latest numbers right now from Gerwick. It'll tell me what they've been doing so far because they're hurting right now, majorly, on every possible way. April 6th or April 10th. Last week, Raw pulled in 2.1 million viewers. AEW Dynamite, 692,000. NXT, 693,000. And then Friday Night SmackDown from the previous week, this is 2 weeks ago rather, 2.374 million. The Fox audience is still holding on. But they're taking hits right now on the USA side. I mean, because right now, Raw and SmackDown, they're in a tough spot. They have to see continued eroding of their ratings. Now, we have to ask ourselves, are we going to see something come back where the audience will come back afterwards? I don't know yet. That's going to be tough for them. Because at this moment, I mean, people are not necessarily truly engaged right now into wrestling because there's no live audience. I think the live audience factor really greatly impacts everything that's going on. And we all have been talking about that. WWE has not done a good job of trying to keep that up. And that's not without saying that Dynamite hasn't had the same problem. But they've had it for the last 2 weeks. Let's see what happens now after the Moxley-Jake Hager fight they just had on the Empty Arena match on Dynamite tonight, which, by the way, enjoyed Dynamite tonight. The Bubbly Bunch was hilarious. And I enjoyed the show. I mean, listen, I'm still enjoying wrestling anyway, regardless of what anybody else is saying. But it still comes down to the fact that AEW could pick up some steam now, ratings-wise, with this. Now, I don't think that people are going to be abandoning WWE altogether. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think that we're going to get to a point where people are all at a spot where, man, they're going to want to get themselves out to, they're not going to be engaged to the product. I think some people are going to be miffed. They're going to be like, okay, I don't know. People are saying, oh, cancel WWE Network again and all this stuff. No, listen, everybody's upset right now, but really, let's get back to reality, okay? I understand everybody's upset about what happened to the company and what all these wrestlers. But you know what? I'm going to hope they all come back. And if they do, better off. But then other than that, you got to say to yourself, the fans and the movement that AEW started is now much more justified than ever. AEW, this is a chance for them just to keep doing what they're doing, keep progressing, keep growing themselves. I don't know how they're going to keep growing themselves, but right now, they just need to be able to maintain right now and keep building what they're building. Do what they're doing. They've taped. They've done what they need to do. They have compelling matches, compelling events. They have good storylines. They're doing what they need to do. And all the other companies are doing what they can to do the same thing. And I appreciate them. Impact Wrestling, I watched 3 episodes this weekend. I'm so happy they did. I'm just getting started on the Sami Callihan character doing the ICU stuff, right? But I got to get to him now confronting Ken Shamrock. Okay, great. And Impact's still going to do their Rebellion pay-per-view where they're going to do it on TV instead, which is great. My thing is, wrestling continues. NWA keeps putting out legacy content to keep people watching. Great. MLW keeps having tape stuff that they still got in the can. Great. Ring of Honor, MLW, if they get to go and tape in front of empty arenas, they do the same thing like the others are doing. Great for them. Listen, whatever they got to do, wrestling will survive after all this. The live events, that's going to be a harder story. We don't know when we're going to get that back. Like I said, maybe August, September. I now think SummerSlam is in, because LA right now, I read the story that LA is in California is putting some restrictions on the amount of crowd and live events that we're not going to see that pretty soon, maybe up to a year. So SummerSlam might be in jeopardy being done in LA. That can be something. But, things will be opened up a little bit more soon enough, I would imagine. But right now, things are where they are. Everybody's in a tough spot right now. But AEW is going to get the most advantage of what's going on tonight. As I said, a watershed moment is a turning point. It's a dividing point as well. So as a dividing point, it's obvious that there's going to be some division of fans. Will they decide to go ahead and drop off of wrestling altogether, like many have done? Or will they decide to go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to check out AEW now. I'm going to check out other shows and see what they're doing. Maybe see if some of the stars that I enjoyed that got released are going to get the thrive somewhere else. Because that's what AEW has been doing, right? Think about all like that. Because of all this, partly because of their fault, which I've talked about for many months, but now this pandemic has caused WWE to further regress. Whatever edge they had on the competition, it's going down by the month. The longer this pandemic is affecting all the wrestling world in general, the better it is for all the other companies to take advantage of WWE while they're knocked down. That's what's going on right now. Keep that in mind. It's absolutely true. And I just think that's the kind of thing we have to think about. Again, when you're looking at other organizations, I mean, WWE needs to figure out, they need to get their ship in order. They've made some changes they had to make. And listen, this might not be all. There might be more coming. We don't know yet. There could be very well more things coming up on the horizon. That could very well happen. But we have to keep an eye on what's going on. And we have to see what changes here. Again, this is what this podcast is for. I'm here to be real about things and to show the reality that some people are getting caught up in, because the wrestling bubble, right? The echo chamber that is wrestling Twitter and the wrestling community, they don't get all the story. They don't get all the facts. And that's dependent upon the podcasters, the journalists, and the fans to be better informed. But they're not. And that's why I came onto this program tonight. And I gave myself a good 48 hours. And I did a lot of prep and research for tonight's show. Normally I could just go into a straight rant and just talk, which I normally do. But tonight I wanted to come in with both barrels. I wanted to make sure that this point comes across. And please pass this podcast. If there's any episode of this program I've done on the other 527, this is the most important one. Again, this is a watershed moment. This is huge for everybody out there. And we all need to understand that this was inevitable. And there are benefits to some of the wrestlers. There are benefits to the other wrestling promotions, unfortunate as they are. And there are benefits to the fans because the competition, the width of competition, the distance has narrowed significantly. If AEW ever wanted to have a chance to shorten the gap between them being a bona fide competitor head to head, it's starting to happen. I mean, how low can the ratings go for Raw and SmackDown or for NXT? We don't know yet. But keep an eye on that. And keep an eye on what the fans and everybody else out there is talking about this. I will, and I'll be back next week to do another show. We'll talk all about this. I don't want to hamper on this anymore. I just think my piece is here. And I also welcome you to, please, if you disagree, go to the Twitter, go to my YouTube feed, youtube.com/jbrasco951, JBRASCO951. I put all the episodes up there. If you want to go ahead and check, whatever, well, by all means, do that. I don't have a problem with that. Okay? If you want to do that, please do. You want to comment back on me, kingofpodcasts@yahoo.com. I'll put it up on Facebook. You want to comment there? Go right ahead. Facebook.com/wrestlingisreal. Do you want to hit me up on Twitter? I'm always on Twitter, @kingofpodcasts. Please give your feedback. If you want to critique me, if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm right, I want to hear from you. Don't hold back your feelings, man. This is the place where you get to go and have your voice be heard. You're not going to get silenced down and shushed down and bullied by the wrestling Twitter of the world. Not on this program. And I'm not going to be afraid. I don't need to go ahead and put myself out there on the line for wrestling Twitter to go ahead and bash me away. Why do I need to do that? That's what this podcast is for. That's what I have this for. So we'll leave it there. And again, thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for listening to my diatribe. If you listened through all this, I'm very glad that you did. And I hope you'll come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast, because more than important than ever, wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by kingofamazon.com. For more information on how to subscribe to the show, how to share the Wrestling is Real podcast to listeners like you, and check out the latest wrestling headlines, go to wrestlingisreal.com. That's wrestlingisreal.com.